and I've never shared this before other than just with a few close friends. There's nights where I was sleeping in my car, and this was just a few years ago. And there's moments where I'm like, man, I'm hustling, trying to do all these things, but like nothing ever seems to catch. You just feel like, oh, you're finally making some leeway ground, and then you take like 10 steps backwards. I would literally sleep in my car with a stuffed animal, but it's the Bible holding there, and being able to just be there is like, God, my life is in your hands. Help me get out of this situation. And there it just proceeded one after another and things, and it almost very quickly started to work myself out of there because I was no longer relying on my own free will, even though we have that as our option every single day. The one thing that I've done in the past that I'm not going to do anymore is that when things are going well, I'm not going to give myself the praise. I'm not going to give all the gratitude there because that belongs to you.
Wow.
But I remember literally sleeping in parking lots in my car, not knowing where I was going to live the next time. And God bless that was a short moment of my life that happened, because that brought me in that moment right to my faith to be like, okay, if nothing else is working and I'm not working, let's put it in God's hands and see that traction start to take place.
My name is Deep. I'm the host of It's Not That Deep. Now, before we jump into this episode, which you're not going to want to miss at all, I want to take a second to tell you my story a little bit. So after graduating college, I worked for the federal government of Canada. Not only that, I worked in the pensions department. I know, super exciting stuff, right? Now, I was the king of water cooler talk, super long breaks, and staring at the clock waiting for my shift to end. That was my life, and I absolutely hated it. The whole time I kept asking myself, is this it? Isn't there something bigger, something out there that I actually truly care about doing? So eventually, after a ton of internal debate and quite frankly, a lot of friends gassing me up to start some kind of show, I decided to launch It's Not That Deep. Now that was back in 2019. The whole premise of the show was to connect with people who I find interesting and to learn how they are realizing their potential in whatever domain. Now, I also wanted to have some kind of show where I could document my journey, something where, if I have kids or grandkids one day and they ask, what I was doing at 26, 27, I tell them, go to YouTube, check it out. So that single decision flipped my life upside down because it led me to meeting a bunch of incredible entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, artists, and everything in between. From there, connecting with the right people led me to starting my own media company. And that's when I met my current business partner, Jamie Lee, through this podcast. So then in 2021, we launched Deep Social Brands. Fast forward to now, we've done over $2.5 million in sales. We've traveled the world, moved countries, built teams, built incredible relationships, and we've gotten to film content all around the world. Like right now, I'm in Panama. We're filming content with one of our clients. And the crazy part is I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yet. But none of those vanity metrics or anything like that actually truly mattered, because putting out content changed my life. I'm telling you, if you just commit to hitting publish, I guarantee it'll change your life in ways that you can't even fathom. And that's why Jamie and I decided to launch putoutcontent.com to help you realize your potential through putting out content. And no, don't worry, it's not just another agency. So if you are serious about growing online, connecting with people around the world, and living the life of your dreams, and if you're tired about guessing what to post, what the strategy should be, how to get your videos edited, how to even film them, or just generally how to put out content, head over to putoutcontent.com. You'll thank me later. But for now, let's get to this episode of It's Not That Deep. Eric Brown, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast, brother.
About damn time.
About damn time. We made it happen, bro. You're one of my favorite people on planet Earth. I'm so honored to call you a friend, a brother. I'm so lucky and fortunate that we have gotten to know each other this past, I guess, year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, man.
It's kind of crazy. And being able to see full circle moments come around, like yesterday being one of those moments where a lot of us got to share those deep bonding moments where friendship truly got to be forged. So
for context, I mean, look, it's Monday, April 7th when we're recording this, and a year and 1 day ago, you had your first, man, I gotta follow my own advice here.
So sorry, that was me.
It was a year exactly to the day.
That's the most.
So Jamie, I checked today. It was April 7th, 2024.
So the birthday is today, but because it was Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. It was the day off. Last year was a leap year. So
Okay. All the context that we actually needed.
well, I'm a big. You can research the podcast.
No, I'm keeping this in. That's the most authentic thing ever. So, as our homie Jamie just wonderfully corrected,
Wow.
it's been exactly 1 year to the day of you and Lucy launching Coffee and Chill here in Miami.
Yes.
How's that feel, bro?
Praise God that it has turned out the way it has, and it's been a whirlwind of emotions and thoughts and things, because something I've been ruminating on, especially today and yesterday, is full circle loops. And usually you get to, at the beginning of the year, you reflect on your 12 months or the last 6 months, because a lot can happen in 6 to 12 months. If you take a moment to look back at friends you had, what you were doing, who you were surrounding yourself, identities, values, all these sorts of things in 12 months, it's kind of crazy what can happen. So it's Coffee and Chill being a 1 year for this has been a unique reflection point, because a lot has happened in those 12 months since that when it came to life.
Absolutely. And like, for those who don't know, well, what is Coffee and Chill, Eric?
Coffee and Chill seeks to be a place bi-weekly where people can get together, whether you've went out late at night last night or you're just someone who truly cares about their health and wellness. But truly at its core, it is a social wellness space that is the counterculture to going out late at night and drinking and abusing substances or really wanting to find new friends. And so it's the counterculture of being able to find the people that you truly want to spend time around, especially in a city like Miami that has a lot of that nightlife type culture. Nothing that there's wrong with it, but for people who are truly seeking for true meaningful relationships and taking care of their health and doing these sorts of things, there really wasn't a space for that. And so we kind of, we cultivated here in Miami this.
So that was going to kill me all episode.
Let's go. Live in action. Jamie's heart's hurting a little bit. He's like, I don't know. But back to it is, it's a space where people, can get together.
They're trying so hard not to laugh. This is the funniest start to an episode ever, and I love it.
It's the raw thing of a podcast, bro.
We're here for it. Nothing is being cut out. I love it.
Let the cameras roll. And so with that was, what are some of those things that I personally loved and created my best connections around? Mm-hmm. Having a coffee with someone.
Yep.
You sit down, you actually have that meaningful time. Those are times where I put my phone away. Getting in a cold plunge with someone, or getting in a cold plunge just yourself. It is a moment that brings you straight to the present moment. And so
absolute presence.
Absolute presence. You have nothing else matters except your breath and you getting through into that moment and really capturing yourself. And so utilizing some of those modalities and just finding a place. And when we first started our first events, we didn't have a DJ. We literally had two giant JBL speakers that we played a playlist off of. And it was just so raw and organic. And so Coffee and Chill wanted to provide a space for people earlier in the day where there was no alcohol, no substances, just a good time for people to meet people that was a part of it, that they were like-minded to themselves here in Miami. And it's then evolved and grown from there to be more of a production and an organization and truly a brand and a community that's reaching everywhere.
Absolutely. And look, I gotta, tip my hat off to what you and Lucy have done, and a big shout out to you guys for bringing a concept that did exist, right? Like Coffee and Chill, I believe it originated in LA, right? But you guys brought it to Miami, a place that it didn't make sense for it not to have that, right? And it's become, maybe I'm a little biased here, and I could say this, but like the most popular Coffee and Chill, it's crazy. You guys, like, what people don't understand, you guys sell out 500 to now these days 1,000 plus tickets in like 5 minutes. It's insane, or less, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get a ticket. People will hit me up and they'll be like, yo, can you get me a ticket from Eric, because I can't get one. I missed the last 4 events and I'm trying to get one. That just shows the demand for something like this. People are starving for in craving for that community, that connection, that outlet. And for thousands of people to want to do that on a Sunday at 10 a.m., it says a lot.
There's a massive appetite for it. We're looking at studies, there's more people are lonelier than ever, especially in a larger city where you think there's a lot of people, lots of going on, especially people out and about. But depth and meaningfulness and conversation and being able to have bonds is one of the most important things. And also, club culture is dying. Alcohol sales are going down. People are rapidly looking for a different outlet for connecting with others and those sorts of things. And so we're going to only see more and more spaces of wellness-based spaces. We're seeing coffee party things show up. We're seeing people throw parties at laundromats and coffee shops and
like DJ booths at random coffee shops at 9 a.m. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you no longer need to have a good time with a substance, even though coffee is has a addictive properties to it and that sort of thing, but is a better, in my opinion, a better counter intuitive than alcohol.
Absolutely. I mean, look, burgers can be a drug too, right? And a TV can be a drug. So it's like, don't try to tell me coffee is, don't put it in the same box as cocaine and alcohol. Not even close. But look, I will say, I could sit here and I will sit here and gas you up and hype you up for everything that you guys have done. I feel like I'm such a huge fan of what you guys have accomplished. And I want to take it back to a year ago when, I'd known you. But we hadn't been that close. Like we were, right. I'd say we were homies, but we weren't like tight.
Yeah.
Right. And I just remember, Jamie I think Jamie was a little bit closer with you. He knew you a little bit more. We just hadn't had that much contact. And he kept telling me like, yo, bro, like Breezy's the man. Like, yo, there's this event happening, Coffee and Chill. And we all got to go. And it was at Reserve Paddle here in, I guess, between Miami Beach and Miami. And I remember, I had a night the night before. All because right.
We're getting all the good stuff here now that I haven't known.
I still do, party.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't, doing anything illegal. All right. But I had some alcohol the night before and I was like, man, I did commit to go to this. I did want to come and I did want to support. I'm going to go. And I remember I pulled up and I had just walked past everything and I got in and yes, the music's playing. Everyone's vibing. There's coffee. There's a bunch of beautiful people, and there's a bunch of cold plunges. And I just remember that was a time when I was doing this challenge myself to try to do as many cold plunges as possible in the year. My cold plunge chronicles. So I was doing these cold plunge chronicles, and I remember, you know what? This is in perfect alignment. I gotta pull up. I go to the event. I have the time of my life. I really enjoyed it. I got to see you in your element, like meeting everybody, talking to everyone. And there was 200 people at that first one?
There were 250 people at the first one.
250 people, which also that's already is insane. To put that into perspective, I throw events of 15 to 20 people and it stresses me out. It's so much coordination. There's a million things to worry about. For your first one to be 250 and it to be a smashing success, you already that's insane. But where it's gotten to, I can't even fathom now. You've got, at the event we were at yesterday, F1 is a sponsor. You've got DJ, live music. How many people were at this last one?
Just over 1,200 on property.
Just over 1,200. And that wasn't even the biggest one you guys had.
Right.
You guys had one back in, December?
For Art Basel.
Of 2,000 people.
Yeah, 1,600 people.
1,600 people pulled up. That's insane. I definitely want to dive into the future of it and where you want to go and that type of stuff. But going back to that day, I remember on the whole line of community and bringing people together and having an outlet. You touch on something that's so important because COVID, I feel really set us backwards in the social element, right? We were literally told to social distance, to isolate, to not be around people, right? And I feel like the slingshot bounced back the other way, and now people are craving that more than ever. And people are a lot more health conscious. So this event gave the community a great space for that. But then on a more micro community level, something really special happened that day. And you texted me that today, reminding me about that. And now we're doing that podcast. Just the synchronicities of everything is insane. Why don't you tell me what transpired that day, even after the Coffee and Chill event?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's so good to like just even relive that story and just relive the details of that moment. And just, it's so cool. The more conversation I've been having about 1 year ago, event specifically, the more visual and vibrant and full that vision has come to be. So thank you for sharing that. I love that, how Coffee and Chill in that moment has also brought us closer. And so being able to have one of the intentions of creating that was so that there's a ripple effect, that it doesn't just start and end at the event, that relationships are fostered through those experiences to then ripple outside of there. And so for us afterwards, where I broke down the event and you guys were all literally together as a group, there's 10 people.
Yep.
That all stayed together from the event through all the rest of the day.
Yep.
And then I came back and joined you guys later at 814.
Yep.
We're at the Flamingo. Oh my goodness, what a night.
I could tell you, sorry to interrupt, just our portion of that. We leave the event, and obviously we had all just done a cold plunge. So you know the benefits of that. We could sit and talk about that forever, but dopamine, everyone's on a high, everyone's feeling good, everyone's feeling healthy. And I believe we all went to Sun Life Organics or Avo, one of those two spots. I forgot what it was. And we all, grabbed lunch, and then we ended up at South Point. All right. And so we were at South Point, which, for those who don't know, here in Miami Beach, there's this park at the most south point of the beach. And it's this beautiful park where you get to see the sunset. And every Sunday, thousands of people gather, and they're having picnics. They're doing acro yoga. At the time, there were drum circles. There were all these things coming together. And I had some friends visiting me from out of town, and they were here, and they're like, dude, what is your life? Like, what is this? People with partners, everyone's just together.
Yeah.
We were vibing. And then, I don't remember at what point you linked us.
Right at the end of your guys' time at South Point.
Right.
And I joined you guys.
Exactly.
We were kind of figuring out, does this continue after South Point? Let's do dinner, which is still such the cool thing of no one also really had deep relationships with each other.
No.
Some of us had never even known each other before.
Some might even say it's not that deep.
It's not that deep. That's hilarious. You got to slide it in there.
I got it.
But then we decided it was either we did a big order bodega or something like that we delivered to the place, and we just went back to your guys' place, which are incredible hosts, just to be able to have a place that people can go to. And we all went there. We sat on your guys' big ass orange couch that you guys had, leather couch in there.
Still have,
and just everyone being able to chit chat and have their own side conversations, but having also a larger conversation. And just the energy that carried through that. I remember sitting in there and just having a moment. And there's also this iconic video from Jamie that I remember recording. No one knew that I was going to be recording. I put it down, one of those ones where everyone's huddled around each other to cap off the night, and I hit record, and it's still one of the greatest raw speeches of all time.
Absolutely. And look, we can always count on Jamie
to
give us an incredible speech and bring people together. And I cherished that night so much, and I remember it just like it was yesterday. We were all also sharing our intentions and what we wanted to achieve in the year. We all shared how we met each other, how we know each other. It was just such a beautiful experience, and such a again, a microcosm of the bigger thing that you are trying to facilitate with Coffee and Chill. And you affirm that at every event as well. It's look, you're not going to meet everyone when you come to there's too many people,
Yeah.
But if you could meet one person and then meet their group of friends and then they become your group of friends. You said it so eloquently in the speech that you gave yesterday, right? Where you were talking about what coffee and chill means to you, and just how everyone can connect with just one person and how that can change their life. And why don't you tell me, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the different types of relationships that you have gotten from Coffee and Chill yourself?
Wow, an endless amount of valuable relationships. First, my relationship with God has grown more and more of that. The more that you're faithful to what that is that blesses the rest of the community and all the relationships that come from there. And I'm also extremely grateful for my co-founder Lucy, her and I had known each other for a year and a half prior to the event. We had 2 separate businesses. We knew potentially there was something that was going to be coming around. And I'm also grateful for Blake and George, who are relationships that came prior to Coffee and Chill, who have become very close brothers of mine. I'm going to see them actually in a few days when I'm in LA, and being able to, just because I'm out there, those are the people that are there. And it's just those relationships, whether they're business partnerships, they're friendships, they're brothers, they're people that we're going to go get a skydive license with. And you could not imagine, by saying yes, hey, I'm going to start this community, the relationships that you're going to be able to receive from, but also you're going to get to pour over into. I've met my roommate through Coffee and Chill, the first event.
Yep.
Met my now girlfriend that we reconnected at the first event. There's been immense amount of business relationships that have come, being able to have the opportunity to connect with local Miami leaders, being able to connect with the city commissioner of Miami Beach, being able to connect with mogul people who are very well connected here in the city, because I'm providing something of value that I find has organic authenticity to it. And that's just the start of what relationships are going to be able to come. So there's a pocket of great business relationships that have come together, and then soulful relationships of roommates, business partners, a significant other. I mean, that's the gift that keeps on giving. You have quality friends, family, great people around you. It's immensely invaluable of the relationships that have come from there. And the quality of your life is literally a direct connection to the quality of your relationships.
Ooh, that's a bar right there. I love that, because to me and Jamie both, and how we've always wanted to build our business and create our life and just go about everything that we do, it's all centered on relationships. I mean, I'm not here today, in Miami, running my company, doing all the cool things, getting to travel, connect with people like yourself, getting to foster all these amazing, meaningful relationships, if I don't start a show that's centered around relationships. I mean, that's the one common thread amongst every episode, is I'm doing this almost selfishly to build a deeper connection, even though it's not that deep. It helps me have a space and an outlet to sit down and connect with people, and in a way where, if and when I have kids one day and they ask me, Dad, what were you doing when you were 28, 29? Or, I've been doing this now 6 years, but what were you doing? I'll be like, go on YouTube. It's all right there. And so, that doesn't happen without having beautiful relationships and amazing people in my corner who agree to take time out of their busy schedules and lives to come. And this is a small event to me, and this is something that I've gotten to experience and benefit from. But I love that there's a space and a formal event like what you and Lucy have created to do that at a larger, more impactful, broadly, more butterfly effects multiplied scale.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of those intimate moments you can gather, but there's not a lot of places that you can gather where there's that amount of people where you're being able to connect and have a good time in those, other than parties that are being thrown. But also the relationships that I even forgot that are also some of the most valuable things is that there are people who I may not have close relationships with now, but I see every other weekend at events, or I'll occasionally run into them at church or out and about, and being able to have a moment where it's like hearing how that has immensely, how these events have even immensely impacted their lives. And it's just these cool, beneficial relationships that get to happen, and that you're cohesively, just benefiting each other's lives. So it's like so cool to be able to see all those people that are love what's going on and are showing up every other weekend just to have a good time, and being able to make friendships there in that way as well.
Yeah. So to me, Coffee and Chill, it is this beautiful thing that allows all these different relationships to foster. It gives a space for people to, celebrate something that's not just going out, partying, ruining your next day, maybe making bad decisions and all that sort of stuff that, as we both talked about, Miami is very known for. I think the culture, even beyond Coffee and Chill, is shifting in this city. What are your thoughts on kind of the Miami health and wellness, and maybe more, I don't want to say spiritual, but like, the more aware scene? What's that? What are your thoughts on that?
We're definitely seeing it become more apparent and more more seen. I think it's always been a part of Miami's fabric of how it is, of good-looking people, nice weather outside, people who have opportunities to take care of themselves. However, wellness is becoming more and more of a desirable piece, and there's even an Instagram trend that's going around right now in Miami where it's like, how do I tell people I'm not this type of person, but I'm this type of person? It's all the emojis of like dancing, partying, but it's like all the like healthy foods and like all the ice baths, all those sorts of things that are in there, which it's a neat thing that social media is being able to reach and expand the reach of wellness more and more to people. And so it's very fascinating to see how well that's been growing. And there's, like you said, with COVID and those sorts of things, it was that slingshot of an era where people became more aware of having quality relationships, taking care of their health. And this is only going to continue to grow here in Miami. But there's always been health and wellness events around. I think people just weren't aware of it or that excited or trendy to go and hyped to go do those types of things more than ever than it is right now. And we're only going to see a spike of that. Hotels and apartment buildings are starting to curate things and programming more around health and wellness based things, because that's what people are looking for, not just only in Miami, but when they're coming to Miami, they want to have those sorts of things. And so it's Miami's becoming a wellness city.
Yeah.
And a lot of times Miami has been the one that's been behind California, New York, some of these areas that are pioneering what a culture of things look like, restaurants, nightlife, what buildings even look like, what a skyline even looks like. But now Miami is in a really beautiful position where one of the largest run clubs in the entire world, in the entire country, is here in Miami, Brickell Run Club. An incredible founder, Frankie Ruiz, who founded the Lifetime Miami Marathon. Incredible individual who has been pioneering for the last 13, 14 years. There's another friend of mine, Rick Chavez, who's a Barry's teacher, but he's run Stay Fit 305, who's been doing this for, I think, 8 or 9 years here in Miami. And so crazy, amazing people who have been instilling that and saw a future of what that was. And now we're getting to step in here as Coffee and Chill into the wellness scene and really expand further into more of like a partier side of things rather than just like fitness and running side of things.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it is that, you're able to combine both, right? It's not just a wellness event. It's actually come, shake some booty, have a good time, let loose, and people are dancing. Like, we're going to edit in some clips here and stuff, but like, people are having the time of their life. And I can tell you, I'm in there too. I'm dancing. I saw yesterday in that dance circle, it might have been one of the most hyped dance circles that I've seen, not just at Coffee and Chill, like ever.
That's saying a lot.
Not a drop of alcohol. Yeah. We're talking about 9, 10 in the morning, dude. Like, that's crazy. You want to talk about a cultural shift. It's happening. And I love that you used the word before of counterculture, right? Because I've been really playing with this idea myself. I mean, as you know, like I've shared recently that I'm making a big shift in my own personal and financial and business life right now. I'm actually stepping away from Miami for a little bit.
Yep.
And, that was a very difficult thing for me to even process myself because I love it here. But it's just something that, I have to do, and I don't want to make this all about that, but something that I decided to do, and it just felt right and felt like something I had to do. I just had to do it, was be transparent about that and actually share some of the not so sexy and fun sides of running a business, running a company, having to staff, expenses, and the city's not cheap. I will say that, so
Absolutely.
I decided to put that out there, and I wanted to be a lot more transparent because a lot of people just see, only the positives, and they only see the beautiful highlight reels of all the amazing things happening. Being an entrepreneur, and I will say it has allowed me a lot of amazing things in life, but there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of sacrifice as well. And I want to be transparent. And to me, that represents almost a counterculture of the Lambo, rented private jet, popping bottles at the club lifestyle that a lot of times has been associated with this city. To the person who doesn't live there, who doesn't go to Coffee and Chill, who doesn't know about all these different alternative ways of life here.
Yeah.
It can, and I've gotten this from a lot of people from back home, and I don't know if you have as well, but like, oh, like you're living the life, you're partying, like you're just, I mean, look, and I was part of that. I'm posting on yachts, I'm traveling every other week, I'm out having drinks, I'm at dinners, I'm doing all this stuff. And it's like, oh no, but that's like not even like 1% of like what's actually really going down here. So
Yeah.
I love the word counterculture because I'm not saying that I'm leading the charge on anything like this, but just for myself personally, I thought it was very important to start sharing the more raw, real, what's actually happening. And I've been obsessed lately with how can we just be more real and share with people what's actually going on behind the scenes. What are your thoughts on that type of transparency and like showing behind the scenes of everything going on?
Well, one, I highly respect and the courage to share that. So many people want to hide the things that they don't want to share in the dark, but that's where things will fester. And so at least if you're not going to share it publicly, at least share it with some few good counsel people in your life where it can be a good time. There's maybe not suit for everyone to be able to do that, but there's times and places like yourself or now where it's opening you up to a whole new world that has been waiting for. And so for me on that side of things, I highly agree that their authenticity is one of the most important things because it's relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people on stage, when someone's speaking about a struggle they went through, there's you're going to actually, I'm going to share this story. It's one of my favorite things to share. Actually, I'm glad I haven't thought of this story in a long time. Man, this is coming up right now. And I find it relates to moments that maybe the viewer or even us can even reflect on right now, that are those authentic moments that then when they get shared, they're so relatable to people. And these are things that people are experiencing every single day in their life, because I find at everyone's core, we have an idea of what the most abundant life looks like. What habits you will do for your physical health on a daily basis, spiritual health, emotional health, financial health. We all have an idea of like a direction that we can go to. And there's this concept of the feather, the brick, and the semi. You ever heard this before?
No.
So every single day in our lives and through these times, we have feather moments. And so if I have a box of feathers here and I was able to throw one after another, would it really hurt much? Would you really maybe even feel it?
No.
But those are those little moments of neglect, these little moments of I'm going to not following your word and doing what you say you're going to do, or all these little things that we can pull on. But at first, It's just a feather. You really don't see the consequence of it. You don't really see the effect of what's happening. But God has a funny sense of humor sometimes. And if we don't wake up to those moments, of these authentic moments, a brick will come. How's that going to feel? A little bit different than a feather.
Oh yeah,
you're going to feel that one.
Feel a brick for sure.
And those moments are going to continue happening. And I'm sure everyone can relate to brick moments that have happened in your life. For me, like I take my car in last week, and I'm like, all right, I got a flat tire on the way to my meeting to walk through a venue. It's cool. I'm gonna bring that in there. It's gonna be like $200-300. They come back, hey, your struts and all these things that are there, it's actually going to be $12,000.
My God.
So little bricks of like little neglect of not even taking care of your car well properly on a date. So all these things, not even that are there, that are fined, are so valuable. And these are moments where we can be authentic and real with our own selves and with others that are around us. But the other moment is then if you don't listen to those brick moments, what comes next is the semi moment. There's only typically going to be one of those, which is at that rock bottom moment or these wake up call moments. And that's where people typically have a major health scare or these major, something radically changing that shakes your whole entire world so much that
major catalyst for some kind of change.
We change for only two things: enough pain or enough pleasure. And as humans, we're gluttons for pain. So, and we will only typically change for, it's not like, hey, most people are like, hey, I want to have that $1 million, but the pleasure of having that $1 million, but the pain of not being broke is going to motivate you a lot more than the pleasure of getting to where you want to go. And so that push and pull thing. So when you're talking about these moments, is that we can wake up and be aware of the feather brick and the semi moments that are happening every single day, every single moment of our lives, and be able to be raw and real with that and sharing those moments, because most people that are speaking and having an inspirational story are sharing maybe a semi moment or brick moments that have happened in their life, so that you at some point can maybe take that as a cheat code or a someone paying it forward to you, so you can maybe be aware so that you don't step into that space yourself. And so what you're doing with your story is, like, hey, this is where it's at. These are some brick moments, and this is what I'm doing to, get into that other, make progress, which is going on there. So I think a story that encapsulates being able to do that. And so for me, that looks like starting Coffee and Chill was like spending all the money that I had also in my bank account, where we didn't have a business LLC and a bank account for all that yet, for like the first literally 2 months of doing that. So it was all out of our own pocket, money that would come in, everything was fully bootstrapped. And then being able to then put all that money back into there and find it, it puts you in such a resourceful space. And it's never a matter of resources that are around you. It's a matter of resourcefulness that you can use of your network, of things that are around you, to be able to prevail from those scarce moments. So those are, I don't know if that necessarily answers the
100%, man. No, I'm silent right now because I'm processing it so hard right now. I can so clearly visualize the feather brick and the semi, right? And it's just got me thinking a little bit, like, taking that, how I interpret that as well, is like, I think I've always been decent at dealing with the brick moments. I've kind of almost gotten used to them, and I'm almost just like, send them my way. Like, we'll pivot, we'll manage, we'll adapt. But I think where my awareness lacks, and that almost has led to more brick moments, is not being as present and aware of the feather. Actually, the little feathers that consistently happen on a day-to-day that can manifest in bad habits, or a lack of awareness, or you could even say integrity in certain moments, have and can lead to a semi truck. Something as little as, I don't know, not eating well. Like if we all know what eating a healthy, nutritious meal that our body needs to be at its best is. We do. There's almost no excuse in today's world for people who have their basic needs met. I'm obviously overgeneralizing here, but for most of us who we're not worried about where our next meal is coming from, a lot of times we are not. I am not the most cognizant of every single thing I put in my body and how it's going to impact my thing. I'm like, I'll worry about that later. But what does later look like if I get high blood pressure or diabetes or diagnosed with some kind of disease or something?
Yeah.
So I just think about the feather. It's like, wow, those little things, they do compound for good or for bad. Choosing to go in a cold plunge and starting your day that way, which is, I was doing that for a while, like really set me on such a positive path, right? And I loved doing that. And then, when I got away from that, well, there was a reason I did, but, won't dive too much into that. But like, I was actually just told that like over cold plunge exposure with all the stress that I was dealing with, it's actually like not smart, but whatever.
Can be counterintuitive.
It can be. That's nothing to say. Don't go to coffee and chill every bi-weekly. That's great for you. But I was kind of doing it a little bit too much. But anyways, that being on that path had this ripple effect of so many positive things. And like the feather can also go the other way. Like it can be a good thing, right? Good feathers that make your pillow more comfortable later, right? Or you can have good bricks coming your way that you can build a house with, or you can have a semi truck that like a big windfall or something that like dramatically changes your life. But I like that analogy a lot because it can go both directions.
I like that.
Right. And so that's powerful, man. I do want to touch on, because this is such a core part of you and who I know you to be, but talk to me about the role of faith in Eric Brown in your life and who you are as a person and the importance of it.
That question more and more in my life is becoming one of the only questions I want to talk about. Because for most of my life, it wasn't a big part of my life, was nearly not even a thought in my conversation of life or even what my own thought process was like. But there was a moment in my life where I felt lonely, felt like there was no direction of where it was going, and just honestly felt lost. And really being able to find myself opening up a daily devotional, and it's called Jesus Calling every single day, was my little one act of taking a step towards my faith that started to blossom and grow. And I find that God will find us either in the valleys or at the mountaintop. And it's oftentimes God finds us in the valleys, and you really get to find that relationship that there's always been something much bigger than yourself with you. Whether you've physically been alone in those moments, and God, for me, my testimony I could share another time of when I first had my first encounter with God, when I was actually like seeking what that was going to look like and what that conversation was going to look like. But having faith is in my belief in Jesus, that Jesus died for our sins and rose again, and is the only spiritual figure that has been able to do that. And the more that I'm learning I wear a cross around my neck, but it's the only symbol of really any faith that is actually a symbol of crucifixion in pain and death, where everything else is, more vibrant and more uplifting and these sorts of things. And so being able to just really follow that Jesus died for our sins, and that I'm a sinful individual. I'm not the most perfect individual in these sorts of things, but being able to have a righteous way of a direction of how I'm going to live my life, and a heavenly Father that I'm able to connect with and pray and ask for things. It says biblically, it says, "Seek and you shall find," which is an a verb, it's an action. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open to you. So all these verbs and these actions of being able to have something much larger than yourself that you're believing in is a powerful cheat code that people are able to tap into. And so I work now increasing into, I go to a specific, relating it back to the beginning of our conversation with Coffee and Chill. I show up to every single event. We've had 24 events, all 24 of them. I am there before about an hour, maybe an hour and a half before I even do the setup time, where I'm there just to be the only person in the entire space.
Wow.
And just to visualize all the people that are about to be there and ask God to come before this, because Coffee and Chill was an idea that I got to steward from him well before I thought it even was a thing. And so being able to have faith that he's taking this to where it needs to grow, it's going to impact so many people. And I just get to be the person that's here, but being able to be there in the morning, visualizing and praying over that space to keep it safe, to keep the just everyone there that's going to be there, may their hearts be impacted, may their lives be impacted, may these positively. And so faith I'm getting scattered here with what faith means, but for me it's having this immense overwhelming amount of, I would say, if I'm to accumulate it all together, is that inner peace is one of the most new successes in my life, where if someone can walk with inner peace, it radiates to all the other things that you're doing. Nothing is unshakable, because I trust that if something is going to be exiting from my life, it wasn't supposed to be in my life in continuation. It was supposed to be in my life until that moment. And so it's being able to have that faith that God has an ultimate plan for you. And I guess a better way that I could wrap this all together is that if we were to look at our hand and look at our pointer finger right now, we look at it and you can see your fingerprint. And you see all the curvatures and all the things that are in there. If we had an ink pad here and a piece of paper, and we were to put our finger on there and put our finger on the ink pad and then have hundreds of other people do the same thing, would we be able to distinguish which one was ours? However, the FBI or these government agencies, by your fingerprint, would be able to detect you wherever you are just from a little fingerprint, because our fingerprints are uniquely only our own. There's not another one else like it. And so what that tells us is that God created us so uniquely, individually our own, that there was a pre-coded moment for us and a plan for us to follow and be able to make our fingerprint on the earth. And for one of me now is becoming, as I walk more of my faith, it's not the most thing I'm most educated on, but for me, it's been an immensely powerful tool for me that's worked.
And I could see it shines through, man, in some of our earlier conversations as well, centered around that. And when you explain that, like, ask and you shall receive, seek and
you shall find,
seek and you shall find,
knock and be open to you.
Yeah, like that's so interesting to me, and such a powerful frame of reference to keep you grounded. It's like your foundation, your bedrock. And I'm not particularly the most religious person, but I do have faith and I do have belief. And as a Hindu myself, I grew up in the Hindu faith. How I was taught a lot of things, I think I lost my connection with religion because of cultural indoctrinations of and how it was practiced, and some things that happened in my life that I kind of like lost my way, but I still always identified as a Hindu. But that's just because that's just what I know, right? But one thing, and this is not in any way, I'm not in any way ever like trying to make this podcast about like telling people what to believe, how to believe, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But one thing that I always really enjoyed about the Hindu faith is that it's open to all faiths and beliefs. And actually, I've never shared this story, but you've been so forthcoming in sharing, how much this has impacted you. why do I wear like a cross? Why do I still identify with multiple different religions? There's things about, Islam that I think are beautiful. There's things about Judaism, about Christianity, about so many faiths, like the interfaith world that I'm so curious and interested about, because I feel like I can learn things that are common amongst a lot of them, but then are also unique that I can take to make myself the best man that I can be with this life that I have. But the story, I'll make it quick, but basically, when I came to Canada, I was actually born in India. So I came with my mother, and actually we were not didn't have a lot of money, So when my parents came to Canada, basically my mom had brought me to Vancouver. And Vancouver, Canada, on the West Coast, and she had barely any money. She was 18 when she had me. My mom was 18 years old when she had me.
God bless her.
And she came to Canada, with no money, and a church actually took her in and supported her and helped her find shelter and helped my mom navigate the welfare system. And the first year or so, I don't know the exact dates of my life, I was actually on welfare with my mom. And the thing that kept her going in this new country, not knowing the language that well, not having a driver's license, not having employment yet, not having all the basic things that you need figured out, and you're an 18-year-old in a foreign country with a newborn. Wow. Was actually the church. My mom, she talks about Father David all the time, and there's this Father David. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Father David.
Shout out to Father David. But she would go to church a lot, and she would always tell me about always be open to all faiths, because just because we're Hindu, they never judged me for that or closed the door on me, just because we practice a different faith. They were always open, and I loved that. And that actually became, from that age, of spiritually a fabric of my being. And that's why I have no shame wearing a cross or even studying beautiful tenets of Islam, of Judaism, of I got these Taoism, all of it. Why not? To me, right? And that's not me telling you or anyone else what to believe or how to frame your life. But I want to kind of ask you then, what was your journey then of, I guess, taking it more seriously? What was that turning point? You talk about peaks and troughs. What was that?
Well, thank you for sharing that context to that, and what a beautiful thing. And the word, I find also the word religion can put a block up for a lot of people in conversations,
For sure.
where then we don't even get to actually get to the depth of what's there, which is faith and love and these beautiful core values. When at the end of the day, it's just a relationship with faith. A relationship for me that I choose is with Jesus. And so being able to develop that relationship of something much higher than yourself that is there of support. And so for me, is that there were actually moments at the beginning of my faith was where there was nights where I was sleeping in my car. And this was just a few years ago. And there was moments where I'm like, man, I'm hustling, trying to do all these things, but nothing ever seems to nothing ever seems to catch. Like a tire burning and just in mud. Something wasn't just clicking to get you out of there, and you just feel like, oh, you're finally making some leeway ground, and then you take 10 steps backwards. And where there never felt like something was going right, even though I had amazing relationships around me, and it was because I was feeling like I was relying just only on myself. And so I knew that faith in developing a relationship was where I was just like, God, I'm stuck. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know where I'm going, but help me. And in those moments, and then you just get to start to see how God starts to work in your life, where it's just asking for that. He's always been close, but he's he wants to know my heart. That is seeking his relationship, because he's always been there for me. And so being able to then start seeking that in those moments of being in sleeping in my car and being able to be like, look, and I've never shared this before, other than just with like really a few close friends, but being able to be like, all right, don't know the words of this Bible. I don't know what it's in there. I know that it's teachings and there's stories that are in here that are going to teach me things about like people who went through much tougher things than I did, that are going to then prevail from these situations. And this is not permanent, and there's hope and there's faith and there's a direction. There's a bigger calling on you for these things. And so I would literally sleep in my car, like with a stuffed animal, but it's the Bible holding there, and being able to just be there is like, God, my life is in your hands. Help me get out of this situation. And there it just proceeded one after another and things. And it almost very quickly started to work myself out of there, because I was no longer relying on my own free will, even though we have that as our option every single day. It's like, well, God, when I'm in a down moment, I'm going to come to you. However, the one thing that I've done in the past that I'm not going to do anymore is that when things are going well, I'm not going to give myself the praise. I'm not going to give all the gratitude there, because that belongs to you.
Wow.
So there's being able to share that as a opportunity of where I was lost and out of. I would have to look back at what dates those actually were, but I remember literally sleeping in parking lots in my car, not knowing where I was going to live the next time. And that was God bless that was a short moment of my life that happened, because, but I know people are in much stronger or tougher situations and these sorts of things, but being able to, that brought me right to my faith, to be like, okay, if nothing else is working and I'm not working, let's put it in God's hands and see that traction start to take place.
That's so powerful, because it's like not just calling on God when things are going bad, which is, I mean, oftentimes is the catalyst for a lot of people, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I shared with you last year now, last summer, we were in a really tough place with the business, and I didn't know, how we were going to make rent, how anything is going to work out. We needed to make like $20,000 in a week, basically, to like make sure all the staff gets paid, all the expenses and everything.
I remember.
We were not in a good spot. And I remember, just sitting and looking like, oh man, I'm doing everything, and I feel like in my power I can do. Is there more? There's always more you can do, but I'm like, kind of just like down on myself, and I was feeling like pretty crappy, like, man, what can I do more? And I don't know what. I had a conversation with someone just said something like, have some faith, and something clicked, and I'm like, well, why am I like not, why is my ego so big that I think that it's only me that is in complete control here? And so I remember actually praying, and what I asked God, the universe, whatever for, I asked God for the strength to let go of that control. And that was a turning point for me in starting to open the door. I still won't say sitting here across from you right now that I have completely let faith guide me in everything at all moments and like submit fully. But what I did, I asked God for that strength because I think it does take strength to let go of that very human, egoic belief that we can control every situation and outcome. It's kind of how we're conditioned, especially in like Western society. Like, go ahead.
No, I mean, we think we're in control of everything, but if you were to look at all the fabric of all the interactions and meetings and things that were happening at the same time, it's like the amount of times I'm sure everyone can even think about, just this is a simple, small moment, is you're thinking of someone and then their name pops up and they're calling you. I mean, explain that.
You can't.
You know?
But then people try to write it off as, oh, it's a coincidence. Okay, but how many of these coincidences had to happen for you to even be born, for you and me to even be sitting and having this conversation right now at this time in history, where in this vast universe where we don't even know.
On the year anniversary of all these things.
You want to talk about synchronicities? We're sitting in one right now, and we always are, right? It's just when you start to kind of open your mind to that, and not even just your mind, but your faith to that, and like believing in that. And again, I don't want to make this podcast just sitting here telling people. I'm just sharing my experience, right?
That's all we have.
And so my experience that summer, that very week, it didn't happen overnight, but it almost basically did. I got this strong gut feeling that I could not explain. And again, not in a good financial spot at that point. And I'm like, Jamie, my business partner, I'm like, Jamie, you're not going to believe this, or I don't even know if you're going to support this or whatever. I got to go to New York City right now. And he's like what? I'm like, bro, you just have to trust me. I don't know why. I don't know what. I don't know how yet. I just got to go there. And it's going to work out. And we had, I think, spent, we have an American Express card, a credit card, where we had a bunch of points. Okay. And I was like, okay, cool. I can use points to fly there. Boom. I can even use points for the hotel. The two biggest expenses are taken care of. I can afford a few $100s for food and stuff. I'm going to line up some meetings while I'm there. That's what my mind is thinking. That's the thought process.
Okay.
And Jamie's like, all right, cool. Okay, go for it. I trust you. Mm-hmm. We've been in this situation many times, and both of us trust each other. When you get that gut feeling, run with it, bro. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it always does. Mm. I go to book the plane ticket, and we were close to our credit limit. So how the Amex points work is you have to purchase the flight, and then you get reimbursed with the points.
Nice.
The flight didn't go through. I looked at my other credit cards. They're also in the same situation. I'm like, all my personal cards gone to pay staff and this and that and whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, well, how am I going to get to New York? Am I going to drive there? That would cost more money than a $200 flight or something like that, whatever. And I'm like, I remembered I had this one credit card that I hadn't activated yet. It still had the tape on it of you sign in,
activate
here. I do that. I booked the hotel and the flights. And in that week, I lined up so many meetings, and I just was spiritually called. I had to go, and I go, and in that week, I think I collected $30,000 of deals, cash collected in that week of just getting into rooms and meetings that I shouldn't have been in, but I call it aping. I aped it. I just made it happen. I just brute forced it, but. Again, even when I say that wasn't me. That was something else. I cannot take the credit for that, because there was this gut feeling that guided me. And now I look back at that and connect it. Even at the time, I didn't connect the dots, said, hey, I just made that prayer. This is after the fact, in reconciling that. I'm like, oh, wow, it worked. And I've been praying every single day ever since. A small prayer, but I've been really letting faith back into my life. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. No, I love that's a beautiful sentiment and testimony of how God's working in our lives and how we're currently living what we once prayed for.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways. And prayer is a superpower. And it all, for me, always starts in giving gratitude. Thank you, God, for this day, for waking me up and breathing life into my lungs, and whatever else is going on there, it provides a platform of...
Absolutely. And for anyone listening, religion aside, that thing that you just said right there, I think that is one thing that I will say anybody can practice. You don't have to say God or subscribe to anything or whatever, but the practice of gratitude for waking up, for having another day. I mean, on the flip side of this, something that I have been feeling a lot recently, and like is the concept of death, right? The finality of life, right? And that we get to continue to live and do all these things and connect and live this experience. I've lost a lot of people in my life. I've experienced a lot of death. My best friend died a few years ago. I've had so many friends who just didn't wake up. At least 5 or 6 people that I knew very well, dearly, very important to me.
Yeah.
Are no longer with us for multitude of different causes. But in this kind of end of this little chapter that I'm kind of closing the book on, I've been feeling this like heaviness and this feeling of death, not in the physical realm of dying, but of an old version of me kind of closing a chapter to that for a new one to kind of be reborn. And something that I'm very, very like a personal belief of mine is that like I used to really fear death a lot. I used to really like, oh my God, I never like die. Like I don't want to. I love this. Like I don't want to. I want to keep it going. I want it to be 120 and whatever it is.
Okay.
But in kind of submitting and letting go of that control and knowing that there are a lot of people that who are my friends and family and people who I really, really love, they might have thought that they might have had all these plans and all these things and whatever, and they don't get to or live that physically with us. I still believe that they're around, but the thing I actually fear more is not living, more than the actual like it ending. That's the thing. And so I keep that with me, and that's a belief of mine. It's like every day is such a gift. What can I do to bring people up and bring their energy up? And I think you do such an amazing job of that. Just connecting this back to the main thing that you're building right now with Coffee and Chill. One thing I absolutely have so much respect for you in is, first of all, that I love the vivid image that's printed in my brain now of you waking up super early, pulling up to Coffee and Chill before everyone, like man in the arena. That's Tom Brady to me, showing up to the stadium and just sitting and like at the 50-yard line, just like visualizing, and you taking that to the next step of like putting the energy out to everyone, being safe, having a great time, fostering these connections, fostering the space. You do such an amazing job of treating every single person that you interact with at Coffee and Chill and just in life in general with absolute presence and love. You can feel that you're radiating love. You are not trying to take from people. You're always trying to give. And that's something I just got to say here while we got this space. I have such tremendous respect for.
Thank you, bro.
And I think that that's grounded in faith.
1000%. I'm no better than any individual that's around here, and everyone deserves to be felt and seen. And yeah, it's a part of my fabric that I feel is necessary to give to people.
And what's crazy too is like going back and like now I'm like, looking at this past year, and dude, you taking the risk of coming and moving into that apartment that we had that first night in.
Oh yeah.
Living with Ty and Jamie in there, me moving out into my own spot, then moving into this spot, now moving again. All of the stuff that happens in between then, and now you living with Ty in the beautiful apartment. I remember that day helping you move some random things in there, and the beautiful space you guys have created. Like, when we were talking about like where you want to live and what you want to do, you were like you were pretty set on like Miami shores or something like that. You had like you had a plan, but maybe God had a different plan, bro.
Of course, all those are moments that we overlook often, and a moment that you might not even know was because I wanted to find what area of Miami that I wanted to live in, and those all take into what you're even talking about was like death of like identities and things that I need to live in a certain space or a certain area. There's lots of death and rebirths that are happening on a day-to-day basis, annual basis. But yeah, there was a moment I'm in Berkeley. I don't even know Jamie or Ty that well yet. And I see on their stories that they're in Berkeley, and I happen to be there at that time. And I was like, hey, if you guys are still, DM'd them, hey, if you guys are still around, would love to grab food with you guys. And I take them to Ojo de Agua. Shout out to Ojo de Agua.
I love that spot.
Best acai in Miami, but also vibes, food, everything is immaculate there. Anyways, is get together with them, and I'm like just chatting about what my plans are. We're all just shoot and shop with it.
Yep.
And they're like, well, you should just come. We have 3 months or 2.5 months or whatever it is left on our lease. And I was like, you know what? Never really lived on the beach before. Wasn't even on my radar of places to be.
Yeah, you were like Airbnb-ing in different spots.
Yeah, it was to test out what areas I liked, and I had 2 areas that I liked. I loved living down in Coconut Grove area, and I loved living up in the Miami Shores area, more residential spaces and those sorts of things, and commuting to see all my friends on the beach.
Yep.
I loved being able to just have my own space that I would go back to, but then being able to, when I would choose to and elect to be able to go and see everyone that was ironically all at the Flamingo. That is literally everyone is all there. And so being able to recognize that and be here, there was so many people that were like, the beach. And now being here 6 months, I wouldn't choose anywhere else. This is the greatest place I find to live in Miami. And totally a God-given thing, and totally just a well-orchestrated part of my life that has brought a lot of fruit.
Absolutely. And I love how that all transpired kind of so organically. But, Jamie, we're nudging you.
You guys were giving the nudge.
You're here, dude. Come on. Come on. All your friends.
I remember the phone calls that we were having. We sat out back of the Flamingo by the little fountain area.
We did. Yeah, we were just like, oh, man. And it's just crazy because you can't measure. I wish there was a way, but you can't measure the butterfly effect of all of these things, right? And we're only in year 1 of this thing, right? And in whatever year of our lives, but hopefully there's still many more years and many more of those synchronicities to that compound. That you can take the wisdom of the decision making, but then also leading with faith that, God, the universe will always take care of you. And that's something that I forget a lot. I have to remind myself that basically on a daily, hourly basis.
Yeah.
I got to remind myself that I am divinely protected, and that everything is happening for a reason. And I might not understand it at the moment, but when you go back and reflect, like, oh, yeah, that's why I had to go to Colombia right now, to go there for that led me to this, and then I came back to mine, and then whatever happens,
you have no idea what's in store for you. However, it's exactly the path that's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something completely switching gears here a little bit.
Switch the gears.
But something that I found so interesting, but still on the topic of relationships. I look at my phone one day and I see this group chat formed, and Elon basically messages the group being like, "Hey guys, me and Eric are doing this crazy challenge. And we're basically going to be running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So it's a total of what, 48
miles.
48 miles
Yeah.
in 48 hours. And I saw that text and I was like, you guys are out of your mind, bro. But who are the two best people that I know to just go and do that, like off rip? You guys. And you actually did it. I love that so much. And you guys were not even that close yet. This is a common theme. I'm kind of sensing something
Something's
here.
pulling out of here.
Talk to me about what possessed you guys to do this crazy David Goggins-esque challenge.
Yeah. There's so many challenges out there that people can. It's giving your word to something and then putting yourself into it. 75-day hard is another one. Andy Frisella put that together, and it's an incredible thing. And 4448 has been on my thought process, and it's been an open tab in my mind for probably 2.5 years.
Wow.
And I've talked about it, did a little bit more talking about it, and was trying to organize some different things. And there was just a moment I wanted to do it, but I didn't really have someone I want to do it with. I was like, I want to do it, but I also don't want to do it alone.
Right.
But that might also need to be the thing that needs to happen. And Alon was the first person, it was actually the first time him and I even met. Somehow it came up in the conversation that was something that was going to be happening, because I was planning it in organizing something like a bigger group of it, which ended up falling through. But he's like, anytime that you're going to be doing it, let me know. And I was like, wow, I see you on that. Like, that left an imprint on my mind and in my heart for like, okay, that person is different than other people. And then we would have other conversations. Literally, I think we had 3 or 4 conversations prior to us having this 48-hour excursion together. And almost every single one of those were touching on the point of like, all right, well, so when's this? When's this happening?
Who was like pushing more?
It wasn't necessarily like a pushing. He was like,
you guys were just both down.
Let me know when you're going to do it. And so for me, how this then all came to fruition is that Jesse Itzler has this thing called the Big Ass Calendar. It's your entire year at front. And I was like looking at my schedule. I put in all of my coffee and chills. I put in all my travel, and these little sticky notes that you put on different things. And I write 4448 on one of those notes. And I was like, all right, when's going to be the best time? It's on my off weekend of a coffee and chill, because those are every other weekend. I don't want to do it too late in the year because it's going to be too hot when I'm running. End of March, I put it on there. And it's such a beautiful tool because it holds me accountable. There's so many times I wanted to be like, all right, I'll push that off to later, or I'm not going to do it. My knees are hurting right now because I've been training for this a little bit. And like, how am I going to do 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours? Like, I got all the thoughts that just want to pour in. And I was like, it was at one moment where I was just like, actually in the moment I was feeling so stuck. It's for me, it's God's voice was like, you need to commit to something. And I was like, 4448, I'm doing it. And it pulled me to all those moments. I let Elon know. This was like a week before we were going to even do it. And we put together like the whole race running plan, where we're going to run, what we're going to eat, the whole schedule. We've got it in there. And one of the things was, there was a person A and a person B. We were sitting at some coffee shop. I mean, he was like, we were like, person A is, we have a safe word that you're going to tap out. Like if you're not feeling good or you're out of it, and you'll end it. Or you person B, who's like, we're finishing at all costs. Because we're seeing like sleep deprivation, running, all sorts of things that could come up for it. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, and I'm so grateful I got to share it with an acquaintance that's now a brother of mine. Almost kind of like trauma bond a little bit with what we went through. But being able to go and do that with someone that you didn't really need to know. The first like 4 or 5 runs was all of us talking about life situations, insecurities, things that we've been through, life situations that we've been through, faith. Literally, it was like a running podcast for those 12-hour podcasts that we could have literally recorded the entire thing. And it was some of the most insightful things of our life stories that we built an immense amount of respect for each other, outside of the fact that we're waking up and going and doing this physical feat that was there. So it was something where we really got to meet ourselves, but we got to meet each other in that moment. Because you spend 48 hours nonstop with another individual, and I could talk about other things about 4448, but that's that in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, big congratulations and shout out to both of you for crushing that, knocking it out of the park. I mean, look, not even
Went smoother than we are anticipated, but proper.
Here's the thing:
Right
you guys
preparation.
have been you guys both run, and you have been running for a while now, but this is different. You know, when you add the sleep deprivation element to it, I think ultra marathons are already. You guys have fun with that. It's not going to be me anytime soon. But you know, I respect it's a mental challenge. Like, I know it's a major physical feat, and like that's probably the first thing that people are gonna see, but it's a mental challenge more than anything. And I think doing those types of extremely hard things that on the surface people like me are like, hell nah, no chance, not doing that, no way, not doing it. But it shows you what humans are capable of when we put our minds to it, and that's what I absolutely love about any of those types of challenges. But bringing that back to like what I think most people can take away from it is like, you are capable of so much more than you think you are.
1000%.
Right. And so what is something that you're going to challenge yourself to in this upcoming quarter, year, next couple years, on your big ass calendar or whatever it is that you keep yourself accountable to? But it almost took it did take having that second person to like be like, yo, we're going to do this together. Right. Would you have done it alone? I know you're the type, you probably would, but something even more beautiful came out of it doing it with somebody else than I believe than if you had just done it alone.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't going to join me, I still was going to do it alone at that point. And you sharing that lights up a extraordinary quote actually from Tony Robbins. I knew he would come up at some point in this. Is that the quality of your life is in a direct proportion to the expectations of your peer group. What are the standards that they hold for themselves that inspire you to be the best version of yourself? And so in that situation is that there's moments where I was on not as in high spirits as when I started. And there's moments where vice versa, but we got to have this accountability to that, hey, oh shit, Eric's up, he's already doing his thing, or Elon's already up doing his thing, he's smiling, he's massaging himself, like I gotta, like, it's this push and pull that allows you to go further. And that's why there's so many quotes. You can go fast, or there's like a quote of it, you can go far fast or something, but you can go faster with others type of things, or further with others.
Yeah.
Maybe you know that quote.
Yeah.
And
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, or go with others.
Boom. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so it's not only him that we got to share that with, it was yourself showing up at 2 a.m. on the first run, that first one, and we were like, this is amazing. Like, accountability of people that showed up during that time.
Yep.
They're, after the first, I think it was 5 sessions, then almost every session after that had at least one person there joining along on the journey.
Yep. Actually running with you guys.
Actually running with, or biking,
or filming, and yep.
all the above. So that's the thing on having other quality people in your life that are going to be together. We want you, and we're communal individuals. We're not meant to do life alone. We do come into this world and we leave it alone. However, it's a good sentiment of what's more important, the journey or the destination?
Obviously the journey.
The company.
Ooh.
That
company
comes
along the way.
along with you.
Yep. Absolutely. No, I talk about it all the time, and Jamie and I kind of on more of a business and like brotherhood, this friendship and brotherhood that we forged through business. We talk about these challenges and these highs and these lows and these peaks and valleys, and I wouldn't want to do that alone. Like I actually enjoy so much that push and pull dynamic, and that there's times when I'm down, I'm going through things, I'm, dealing with this breakup or this interpersonal challenge or this financial struggle or this family issue or the things that life just throws all of us, right? And then having that partner be there for you beyond any P&L or balance sheet or business plan or all the
Take it all away.
oh no, forget about all that stuff. Like that's obviously the vocation, that's the thing, but so much deeper than that thing, right? Having that makes it so much more enjoyable and worthwhile, and like you want to show up for this other person as well as your best self.
Yeah.
Even in those down moments when it's so easy to just kind of shut the door and close yourself in and like just try to go through it alone. And I used to kind of like do that a lot more, where it's like F the world, things suck, nothing's going right for me, everything's horrible, negative, whatever. And I would just kind of like shut myself in and like and I do think that a lot of that was like the type of people I was hanging around. I would kind of fall to that default level. And when I wanted to rise above, it's easy to do that when things are going well. It's so difficult to do that when everything seems to be going against you, and vice versa as well. When Jamie's going through things and I'm like, time for me to like step up as a leader within this thing that we built, again, beyond business, brotherhood, whatever. Let me lift him up. Like, let me show up for bro right now. Like he needs it, and he's been there for me so much. And yeah, the bigger point there is just, building together is just more fun.
We're always going to need someone to fan our flame and to be there along with us, and celebrating at the finish line alone is not that fun.
No, and here's this thing, like you talked about the journey, not the destination, the company along the way, right? It's one of those, I think Chris Williamson has this thing he was talking about on one of his podcasts, where these like unteachable lessons, concept of these things that we all like know, like everyone, like we know.
Okay.
There's just these isms. There's these things that are like, one of them is the example of like, we all know that money doesn't make you happy, but we're all like, yeah, but I want to find out on my own.
Okay.
Or like we all know that
It was hot.
yeah, the stove's hot, but like you got to figure it, like,
touch
there's these unteachable lessons that you just kind of learn, you got to learn on your own. And like, that is one of the journey, not the destination, is this common thing that everyone talks about and we all like know, but I personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I need to constantly remind myself not to be living in the future or in some outcome state or some top of the mountain. Having actually climbed mountains and like gone hiking on some crazy small side tangent. I studied abroad in Norway for 9 months. So I was
We're getting to know you here.
yeah, I was back in college. I did a semester abroad and I was there for like 9-10 months.
Epic.
And we did this one hike up this kind of mountain called there's this big rock that sticks out in Norway off some fjord. It's really beautiful and kind of famous, called Trolltunga. And it's literally translates to the troll's tongue. And it's this big, massive rock. And me and like a group of like 10, 12 people, my closest friends over there, were like, we're going to do it. It's kind of a grueling hike. It's like 9 hours, like going up in the snow, and the snow is like this thick. And the first portion of the hike is like extremely steep. Like you're like, it's like only like a kilometer up, but that kilometer, like a couple people had to go home.
Oh, wow.
Like, and we ventured out, like it's like 5 hours just to get there. And some people just couldn't even, like, you know, I won't name names, but you know, some people couldn't make that part. And then
Sure.
every time we would get up this mountain, I'm like, oh, like it's right, like we're right there, cool. Like, and you'd get there, and the mountain would wrap around, and you'd be like, oh no, it's up there. And that would happen so many times, and I always try to remind myself, like, well, even when we got to the top, yeah, it was cool, it was gratifying. There was like this dopamine rush, like you felt good, we accomplished something.
Yeah.
And we we had like all of our equipment and stuff, and we actually camped out at the top and slept overnight there, and then came back down the next day.
Yeah.
It was frigid, freezing cold. We're all in this tent. It's windy. We're like not rationing food, but like we're like it was intense.
Sure.
And the thing that I when I think about it now was not getting to the top. It was those moments of like, there's my one friend Mariana, a 4 foot something Brazilian girl. And her and I, like I always stayed behind and like made sure like she's good, and then she would hype me up, and like she was so small she'd keep falling in the snow, like, you know, like feet deep in the snow.
Yeah.
And with the laughter, the joy, the moments, that journey was so fun. Like that's what matters the most. But I forget that so much.
Yeah.
I'm always like, no, when I get here, then I'll have this. When I get here, then I'll feel this way. Then I'll have peace. Then I'll start doing this. But that top doesn't ever really come, does it?
It seems like the version that you want is always 5 years in front of you, where you're continuing to go and go and go and go. But that's what a beautiful sentiment that you shared, and we all are experiencing the things is the memories. It's never like the photo that was taken or the things. It was like the story that happened prior to that or right after that said situation. Like right back to the beginning of our entire conversation is that a year ago today it wasn't the key moment of Coffee and Chill. It was the community moment that is most memorable that happened afterwards that triggered so many other beautiful things that have happened.
It's amazing, man. Eric, we could sit here for hours and just keep chopping it up. I'd love to, but in the spirit of, I mean, we're both trying to, you know, this shit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
It shows you lots of new things we learned about each other.
Absolutely, man. In the spirit of just wrapping this up, you know, in a beautiful way here, a couple things I kind of want to leave it off on. Where do you want to take Coffee and Chill? Where do you see, what's the future vision of this thing that you and Lucy are building?
We have some exciting plans of where this is going. This is year one was just like the training ground of what this is going to look like. And there's always been the ethos of keeping it affordable, accessible, and approachable for people to go there. And that's what it's going to be, continuing to move forward. And it's like, how can we keep that, but with premium experiences and premium venues and brands that are part of the process, but also throwing in some new key fun ideas that are going to be coming out. Some of those things can look like that I can share that other ones we'll keep into the thing, but we got some things cooking up for that. But it's going to be a Coffee and Chill after dark experience where we get to bring that same love of a Coffee and Chill experience, but into like 8 to 10 p.m. But and bringing in like a really doing that sparingly and really intentionally, where it can be that same experience, but bringing in a really sweet musical artist or a really sweet person that gets to pair together with that, where it's really providing a true counterculture to something that's in the evening, where you're going to be able to be there and have one of the greatest times of your lives. And also just then fine-tuning all the small details that make something so important. How can we create processes for people to really have true long-lasting connections that come from there? And what are some other fun creative ideas that can come for like putting a water slide into a cold plunge, and like what are those crazy ideas. So there's from small little things to the grand bigger things, and obviously the bigger vision of the biggest vision is not just keeping Coffee and Chill in Miami. We are in Austin, Texas, that just opened up. New York's about to open up. San Francisco's about to open up. We're in Venice and San Diego, and so it's being able to be a authentic leader. That I find that our brand is something that is, its heartbeat is that it is community first. It's not here for a transaction or to be this business or this corporation of a thing. It's really to be a culture and a brand of people that can get felt, that can be a counterculture, not just in Miami, but it can be in a major city near you, that you're going to be able to go and experience and have some of the best times of your life there. And allow to see that. And God also, that's what I can only see so far, but God has such a big plan for what Coffee and Chill is going to grow and become, and we're just getting started with that.
I think it's going to be just getting bigger and crazier and more insane, but then also more intimate, more small group setting, more offshoots, more. There's just so many ideas, and I love that you guys always push the pace with that. Obviously, I bet there's some things you wish you could, say right now about like what you guys are cooking up, and I wish too, But
Yeah.
I'm just honored that I got to be at the first one, and many in between, and this last one was really special as well, and hopefully many, many, many more to come. I gotta do one of those night ones. I'm a evening guy. If me coming to the only one of York in Elon's runs was the 2 a.m. one, if that doesn't tell you something about who I am, all right, the evening one, I gotta make it out to one of those.
Well, we'll tell you the first one is going to be a banger of one, and it's very intentionally curated. Knowing us, we definitely are not going to disappoint.
Oh, you'll pull out all the stops. And look, I mean, if anyone is listening right now, I highly encourage you, check out coffeeandchill.com. Follow Eric, follow Lucy. We'll drop your socials and everything. Follow Coffee and Chill Miami, and follow all the other Coffee and Chills too that are popping up everywhere. One thing I love is that people do come from different cities. I know personally so many people who literally hit me up from other cities who are like, I need to come to this. And I know others who actually have come for that. When I hit you with that, Eric, hey bro, yo. I know you got a few of those homies, but I'm just honored that I've gotten to be a part of this in a small way. And the last thing I want to leave this podcast on, I love asking this question, but Eric, how do you want to be remembered? It's all said and done. How do you want to be remembered? You, Eric Brown.
That everything that I've done in my life, that I was someone who cared first and foremost about my relationship with God, and that everything that has come into my life, challenge, growth, everything is all because Jesus gave his life for me. And I would say that I live my life in accordance to what I could do as a smidgen of what his life looked like, and that hopefully it inspires other people to live a life with value and of servitude to others and of passion and just caring for others. So, well, that would be what I would want people to remember me for.
I can say that they already think that about you, bro. I love that, man. Eric, my brother, thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. I love you too. Just remember, everyone, it's not that deep.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
What a conversation, bro.
That was amazing, dude.
Oof.